So I ran into some problems for the last couple of days. I found something I was looking for, which is part of the problem today, right here. Let me show you what I do. Some of you are gonna know this, but hang in there with me. So you can see that I have my garden hose here hooked up to the well. I've got 2 house filters here, and I put it into my IBC tank here, and I fill the tank from the well. And then I place a bucket on this concrete block right here, and I have a 2-way valve here. One goes to the hose, the other one just shoots out into space. Right now, if I turn this on, turn the well on, water would shoot out into the space. So I put a bucket here to catch the water. So here's the buckets of water right here. So then I walk down here, and I have 2 switches I have to turn on. So the first switch is the 2,000 watt inverter that I can turn it on. You can see the green light maybe came on. The green light there came on. This is the 1,000 watt inverter. We run this one all the time. That's for the house. But for the bigger objects like the well, we run the 2,000 watt. Then all I have to do is turn the well on right here, which I'm not going to do. This is just a little power switch, whatever you want to call it. I have 3 of those, one for the house, one for the camper, one for the well. So I turn that on, and the well instantly starts up. As soon as I turn this on, the well turns on. Then when I'm finished, I come down here, I turn this off, I shut the inverter off, and the well shuts off. Then, as you know, I have drilled a hole in the plumbing of the well. So about 70 feet down, I've drilled a little hole. That means all the water drains back out of that hose back into the well. That keeps it from freezing. So yesterday, it got down to 30. It was supposed to get down to 34 degrees. So I did not bring this in. If it gets below freezing, I always take these 2 things in. I disconnect the hoses. I run them down the hill, drain the water out of them. And that way, nothing freezes. Well, night before last, I should say, it was supposed to get down to 36. Well, when I got up, it was 31. I wasn't really sure if those were frozen. If they're frozen, the well pump will turn on down there at about 110 feet, 30 feet. Well, I forget what it is. So there's a well pump. I showed you, here's what the well pump looks like. I have one just like it right here. I should have drug that out so you could have saw it better. So that turns on down there. If water doesn't come out, the pump will start to heat up. It's pumping water and it starts to heat up. When that water turns to steam, you'll freeze up your well pump. It's called deadheading. If the canisters there, the filter canisters, are frozen, it deadheads into those frozen filters. You only get a few seconds. Well, I got to walk all the way down to that shed down there to turn on and off the well. So the only way I could do this is run down there, turn on the well, run back up and see if it had, when water was coming out, switch it over and all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't sure if anything was frozen. Even if this was frozen, I wouldn't have known. So I had Carolyn stand at the window. I called her on my cell phone, went down there and said, let me know when water comes out. I know it takes about 10 seconds for that water to come all the way up, because remember, it drains all the way down. So I counted 10 seconds. I asked her if the water was on. She said, yeah, it's on. So I knew it didn't freeze. But yesterday, I go inside and I tell Carolyn, I really need to put a switch out here. That way I can do it all from here. Turn it on and off. Now, I've been talking about doing this for years. Well, maybe a year. Years. Been here forever. So this morning, I come out and I was filling the buckets again. But I needed water because it's supposed to rain for a week here. So I'm not even sure we're going to have solar power enough to run the well. So we might have to run off generator. I'm going to try not to, though. I come up here. The hose was disconnected because I let the hose drain last night. It was supposed to freeze again last night. So put it all together, turn the well on, and water starts spraying out right here. And as I just showed you at the beginning of the video, I'd lost the gasket. So I had to run down there, shut off the well pump, run back up here, disconnect everything, run back down there, turn everything back on. It's a lot of running. So I've decided that I need to make some changes. So this is the wire that runs up from the inverter down there that I just showed you. So when I turn the inverter on, electric goes through this wire, runs all the way down there, turns on the well pump. I do have this buried down there, but up here was a cedar tree, so I didn't bury it over here. Eventually I will have to do something, but for now it can just hang here. So I've bought myself a switch. Now, I haven't installed a switch in years. I rewired my house years ago. It's not hard to run a switch. So I'm going to install a switch. I'm going to show you how to do it. I've learned since I started doing these compilation videos that a lot of people in the comments section said that they're learning a lot from my channel. A lot of people said it, not just one. I would say dozens of people said they're learning a lot from my channel, which I guess, but so if you're learning something, maybe we can learn something here. I'm not any type of certified electrician or anything. This is just a simple switch. Now, something we need to think about before we get started is this is an outdoor wire. Outdoor wires are different than indoor wires. Indoor wires, when you take off the insulation here, it's just a sleeve, basically, that 3 wires go into. A black, a white, and a ground, copper. But this one, the sleeve here is grooved. It's actually formed around each one, so it's a little bit harder to work with. But you want to use outdoor when it's outdoor, because that sleeve stuff, that indoor stuff, just rots away in UV light. This doesn't. It's a lot more expensive too. So the first thing we did was we went down there and we checked that the electric was off. And you can confirm in the video that I had that switch off. So all we got to do now is start cutting our wire. So now I've kind of measured off where I wanted my wire to cut at. So I got enough slack on each side. Kind of made a little arch here. And so I got my wire clippers. I'll just cut one wire at a time. I know you can't see it very well, but there's the black, the white, and the copper. Maybe you can see how this works. Normally, there's just a sleeve here that you can just kind of cut and peel away. But this one, you got to cut and peel away all 3 pieces of plastic. So I'm going to take my knife and we're going to line it right up next to the 2 pieces of wire. So there's 1 copper, 2 copper. We'll put it right in between the 2. And then I can push my sharp knife. It's got to be pretty sharp to do this. In between the 2. It's hard to do on camera because I don't got any leverage. So you can see it and I can do it. So now you'll be able to see what I'm talking about. See, there's supposed to be a white wire in there, but it's completely wrapped into this gray wire. So when I strip away the gray, now you can see just the white. Now, like I said, the indoor wire is just 1 sleeve. You take 1 slice, all 3 wires would pop out, white, black, and copper. Okay, so now that I've gotten all 3 separated, this is going to be the copper wire. You probably can see the copper color. And then that one will be the black wire. So it's all 3 of them are wrapped up in this gray. Now, I will go ahead and do the same to the other end. Okay, so this is the switch box. This is where the box that the switch will go into. Now, if you do this, this will be inside drywall, or this is actually a new construction box. And so the switch goes on here, and then you have a switch cover that goes over the whole thing, so you can't see any of it except for that little switch. So on the switch box, you have little tabs here that the wire goes into. Now, typically this is going to be installed already when you do it, but for the ease of filming, I'm going to do it with the box not attached to the wall yet. It will be easier so I can hold it up and show you what I'm doing. So now that I've got both sides stripped down from the insulation sleeve, I can start stripping the wires themselves. So you've got 2, I think, what is that, neutral wires. The white is neutral. 2 hot, which is the black, and then the ground, which is the 2 copper. So what I'm going to start out with, just for ease of filming, is I'm going to strip the wires with my wire stripper here so we can make connections. Now, my wire strippers are old and don't work very well, so that's the reality of life. And so you take your wire stripper, which I'm using a much smaller size. This is 12 gauge wire. I'm using 20 gauge connection because these things are so bad. And then you just kind of twist it, and then you'll see that it's cut the wire or the insulation, and then you can just pull it off like that. And then you'll take a pair of needle nose and you're going to make a little loop, kind of like that, a little bit more than. And so what that loop does is on your switch, we'll be able to hook the switch up to these screws. Again, trying to do this for filming purposes is kind of difficult. So I don't know how much you're going to be able to see when I get it all connected. So that's how it'll hook up to the screw. So you have a black wire here, and then the black wire to the other side where we made the cut, the black wire will go there also. So now I'm going to feed it through the box like that. So that's one side. I'm going to feed the other side to the other hole. And so then I'm going to go ahead and strip and crimp the rest of the wires. All right, so now I've got my wires stripped and crimped. You can see that I got my white wire, my neutral wire. I got those stripped, but I don't have those crimped, and I'll show you why. And then I got the copper wire. So with the copper wire, it's pretty simple. You take it and you twist these together. You're supposed to use a pair of pliers, and you twist them together. There's supposed to be a little copper sleeve that you're supposed to put on this and squeeze it together. I guess if you're worried about it and you want to do it to code and all that, you can. Okay, so now I have them twisted together. I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to clip it off. Like that. Didn't mean to hit you in the face. And then the white wire, I'm just going to twist together. Now, you're supposed to have a wire nut. I don't have one, I'm going to be honest, and all the master electricians are going to scream at me. But what you do is you clip off the little piece that is remaining there, and you take a wire nut and you would screw it on. Well, I don't have one, so I'm going to use black tape instead. For the next step, we are going to hook up our switch to the black wires first. Now you want the hook to go in the same manner as the turn of the screw. That way it doesn't come out when you screw it in. So hopefully you can see that I've got that hooked around the screw. So I'm going to give it a little bit of squeeze so it's tighter. And then we'll take our screwdriver and we'll tighten that in. Now see how the hook went around this direction. So I'm turning the same direction the hook is. If I put the hook the other way, it's possible that it could come out as you're screwing it down. The wire could come out. And then you have your other black wire right there, and you put it at the bottom one. Then, which I didn't do on camera, I didn't pre-stage it, you crimp your ground, and then there's a little green screw right there. Your ground's going to go onto that one. Okay, so now you kind of shove all the wires back in there and make them nice and neat, make sure nothing's falling apart after you do it. And I've already pre-started a little bit, but now you can set your screw from the switch into the switch box. These screws are actually attached. When you buy the switch, these screws are already there. So you just start screwing those in. Okay, so now everything is attached. I'm going to nail this comes with nails already in it. I'm going to nail it right up to the stud. Keep that wire a little bit tighter, maybe a zip tie. Okay, so now we have a cover. Go ahead and go through all of it. Cover's pretty easy. I'm sure you've done this before when you ever painted a house. It comes in with screws already in it. And you just put the cover on and screw it in. Okay, so we're back down here, so now I'm going to turn on the inverter. There's the light switch. Now, I'm going to turn this on. If I don't have the switch on, I will hear the fan slow down. So they didn't slow down, so that means the switch is working as far as the electric being off at the pump. Now we'll turn it on. I can hear the air coming out. So yeah, it's going to work. The pump is on. Here it comes. I can hear it. There it is. Now I'll shut it off. So if you'll click this up next box to take you to a video where I was talking about how people don't want you to live off grid. So I hope I can inspire you to continuously improve your processes so you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.